are stories that connect us to ourselves and each other. These stories reveal who we are and show us the many vivid, wild colors of our truth. Welcome to Soul Wanderings, where we raise spiritual awareness and foster connections through these shared stories and personal experiences. And now, exclusively on KGRA Radio, I give you your host for Soul Wanderings Radio. Here's AJ.
Hello, happy day, friend. It's Soul Wanderings Night, where we receive an opportunity to hear journey stories from humans from all walks of life, all types of experiences. And these humans show up to share authentic pieces of themselves with all of us. I am AJ Rasmussen, your host. Hi there. It's lovely to be here with you once again as we discuss topics relating to our experiences with being a human, a spiritual being, living in this anomalous universe. Thank you for spending time with us. If you are interested, there are ways that you can participate during the show. If you're listening live, we have the chat room to hang out in. The chat is hosted here on kgraradio.com. You will want to log in if you want to chat with other listeners during the show or even ask a question to our guests. That's the place to do it. Again, that's kgraradio.com. Click on the chat room and come hang out with us. Now, Wanderers, let's do what we do. Let's wander. Would you like to learn how to eliminate persistent aches, pains, fears, phobias, and debilitating emotions like anger or confusion, depression, or that stuck feeling? No medication, no prescriptions, no surgery, and no ongoing therapy involved. Just your past life memories. My guest tonight is Chris Lee, a Canadian clinical hypnotherapist specializing in his method of past life regression therapy, and he plans on explaining to us how to learn his system. Chris realized through the years that he enjoyed helping people, first in sales, and then 8 years as a police officer. Then the opportunity to become a hypnotherapist came along around 25 years ago that changed his life. And he is hopeful that this may happen for you today as we wander together and hear all about Chris's personal journey story. Chris has toured 6 countries presenting his talk, Life in the Past Lane, over 225 times, where he explains what he does, how he does it, and the benefits of his method. Chris has written 4 books in his series called Life in the Past Lane, and 2 more are on the way. Let's learn more about this fella and hear for ourselves just what he has to share. Hello, Chris Lee. Welcome to Soul Wanderings.
Hello, AJ. That's quite an introduction. That sounded quite a guy. Well, that's me. Okay.
That's you. That's all you. That's you. You're the guy.
Thank you for inviting me onto your program, your show. And it's nice to have enough time to explain a bit what I do. One of the first things, actually ironic, is that when you mentioned my tours, what it is that I go many places and do the talks to explain what I do and what hypnosis isn't. And last year in Canada we have provinces, you have states, with different countries have different things. So last year we actually did all 10 provinces. And with my talks, and we decided, my wife comes along with me, you've met her already, she does evenings of clairvoyance. So what happened, we decided, let's not do any touring this year, 2020. Now, that worked out fine because we couldn't anyway, could we?
Mm-mm.
No. So, ironic or not, no. And now what I do, first of all, is, yes, I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, but I know it's going to be hard to believe, but a lot of people out there have a fear of hypnosis. And we can blame television, movies, hypnotist shows, and that kind of stuff. And that is why I do my talks, to explain what hypnosis isn't. One thing I like to remind people that are listening is that I'm not a reader. I don't tell you what you did in a past life for two reasons. One, I don't know what you did in a past life. And second is, it's not going to help you. You have to see it. I'll explain that in a bit. So, now when I do the talk, I always like to start off with show of hands with the audience. First of all, how many people believe in past lives? And actually, a majority of them do, because that's why they came out to my talk. And then I say how many people aren't sure about that, and I do get a few hands up, mostly men, because men are, a bit more skeptical. Yeah. Yet I've worked with 5 male medical doctors, and they're not skeptical. And then I do actually ask, is anybody here doesn't believe in it, believe in it? And ironically, there was one talk a few years ago, in the middle of the audience there, this hand slowly came up, and for not believing. And so everybody looks at her. And she stood up and said, but I got a good excuse. And I said, what is it? And she said, my daughter believes in past lives, and she needed a ride here tonight. So we let her stay. She actually asked a lot of questions. She said, I use a lot of logic, and it's good, because if you don't like logic, too bad, I'm going to use it anyways. Then I asked them, how many people here have ever been hypnotized? And I'm sure you wouldn't be surprised, but very few hands go up. And then I said, who hasn't? Well, obviously, the rest. Then I say to those people, the people who had their hands up for not being hypnotized, you're fibbing. I like to get a reaction. So, pardon me, I said to the whole audience, is that you're in hypnosis 5 to 20 times per day. A lot of people don't realize what hypnosis is. They think it's that stupid bark like a dog crap, or lose control. Right. And it's none of those things, because TV likes to entertain. So I know it's hard to believe too, but a lot of those shows on TV aren't always accurate. Remember that swinging watch? You ever seen that kind of thing? Absolutely. Well, that's a load of BS too, because how do you see a watch swinging when your eyes are closed is way beyond me. Because being relaxed is you close your eyes. It's stereotyping. Yeah. So then I say, here's some examples of hypnosis, because I use a bit of logic. And I said, does anybody here remember high school? A lot of people laugh because it's probably been a while for some. And then I said, did you ever have a boring subject? Hands go up. And I said, did you ever daydream during your class? And hands all go back up again. Daydreaming, I remind people, is hypnosis. Hypnosis is only deep relaxation. There's no wandering away, no la-la-la, nobody floats away, none of that BS. It's deep relaxation. I'll explain that in a bit. So then I said, has anybody here ever read a book or watched TV so intently you don't hear people talking to you? Have you ever had that?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, you're in hypnosis, because all it is deep relaxation, single focus concentration. And that's why all of your attention is on one thing. It's how we used to memorize stuff when we had to back in the old days. You just say the thing, or block everything out and just go over and over it, and single focus. Then to explain to people that here is one way to explain that you've all been hypnotized is, who slept in the last 24 hours?
Hopefully all of us.
Go up. Yes. Sleep is hypnosis, because all hypnosis is deep relaxation. And how much deeper relaxed can you get when you're sleeping? So then I say, how many people here now have been hypnotized? So everybody's got to put their hand up, or else they weren't listening. Okay. So, yes. Now then I remind them, did anybody force you to daydream? Did anybody force you to ignore people while you're reading a book or anything like that? Did anybody force you to go to sleep? If they were to force you, you would never go to sleep, because you'd be in fear or something. It doesn't work. The teacher might come by in school when you're daydreaming. And also, I get people that come into my office for a session, and I've heard so many times, where's the bed to lay down on? And I say, well, are you paying me to sleep? And they go, what are you talking about? Because your subconscious works on repetition. What do you do when you slow down and lay down? you gently go to sleep. And I can't talk to you while you're sleeping. So it's this that they don't realize you can't sit in a chair, and because you don't disappear, you're not going to fall off the chair. That's where that fear comes in. So when they come in, no, they just sit there and eyes closed, and I go through my stuff with them. I use a lot of technical terms, stuff, and what have you, because I don't like hearing big words. Because a lot of people will come in, they've had an ailment for so long that they've had 20 years to learn how to pronounce their 30-letter word. And they rattle it off, and I'll say, speak English. Where does it hurt? And they tell me, okay, that's all I need to know. Thank you. Now, once people realize that they have been in hypnosis, then I explain how this works. Your conscious is made up of two parts. Do you know what parts they might be?
Of our conscious? Tell me.
Yeah. So, okay.
I'll just let you tell me.
Okay.
I could say subconscious and
conscious.
And, well,
And then,
okay, go ahead. I don't know when you're going to talk. I'm like going to talk and I'm not sure.
I'll grunt. Well, I wave at you, but you can't see me.
No,
I usually jokingly give out virtual cookies for those that laugh at the right times or give the right answers. So you almost got a cookie there. And they're also vegan cookies. Moving along.
That's my favorite.
Okay. Well, I heard the other day that we actually can eat vegan meat because the cows eat grass and stuff. But anyhow, moving along. So, where were we again? Hello, my name is Chris Lee. I'm there. Okay. So, now, what happens is the conscious and subconscious makes up your mind. Pardon me. I get tired of hearing left brain, right brain. Hello, that's your physical brain. We're talking about your mind. The brain is just holds your energy. So now the conscious part of your mind is only a processor, AJ. It hasn't got a clue about past lives, and but it's got an ego problem. It's only about 5% of your mind. Obviously, the subconscious would be, you're right, cookie for you, 95%. So anywho, now, the subconscious is a storage unit. I cannot believe how much it can hold. You could have 10 past lives. Do you believe in past lives, or you're not sure?
I absolutely do believe in them, yes.
Good.
I don't know why, it's just a knowing I do.
Yeah. Well, that's because women are actually smarter. They go with a thing called women's intuition.
We're very intuitive, yes.
Yeah. Men don't have that. Of course not. We don't have women's intuition. We have gut feeling, and
Yeah. Same,
we
but
use
okay.
logic and screw it up. In fact, an article I read a few years ago, all the world's richest men have become rich by gut feeling, no logic whatsoever. So anyhow, now the subconscious could have 10 lives. You could have 1,000 past lives. I've had people with a lot of range. Apparently is new souls. Now a lot of the heavy stuff about is there this when you go into the energies and stuff like that. I do get people that read too much and try to trick me or stuff like that. My answer to them is I don't know that answer. But I do know how to get rid of your aches, pains, fears, phobias, and debilitating emotions. Is that good for you? Yes. So, in other words, let me continue. Because I'm not really there. I'm only going on the fact that I've done thousands. In fact, I've probably had my clients go through approximately 20,000 past lives. Because each person will often go through 4 to 6 in a session.
Dang.
And I found when you got a commonality to all of this, then it must mean something, but I know how to use it to get rid of these concerns that people have. Now, what it's about, just to back up for a moment, when people aren't sure about past lives, I say just pretend, because it'll still work. If you think you made it up, well, bully for you. Is the pain gone? Always is. Well, does it really matter? No. Because let me explain something. The conscious has an attitude problem. Ego problem is a good word. It thinks it's clever. It's just a processor. Here's some logic for you. If in the session, and here's the interesting thing, I'll ask questions because I do not see any of this stuff. The client has to see it, and I'll explain why it works that way. So when I ask questions, they answer. I just say, tell me the first thing comes to you. Don't bother thinking, because that's your conscious sneaking in. The conscious does stay a bit. I do help you slow down. so that we can get more access, quicker access to the subconscious, because the conscious is bouncing around about 3 times faster than the subconscious.
It's incredible.
And if you panic, that's why it's about 10 times faster. That's why we can't remember where we hit our key or lost our keys, and your relatives are still stuck in the cart. Some people catch that, some don't. I give cookies for that one. Sometimes I go on a tangent, so I'm going to need you to remind me if I say, where did I go again? Because sometimes I'll think of something else. And then
You're going to keep me on my toes. I'll pay attention.
You got 2 cookies already for that. Now, where was I again? My name's Crystal. You know I'm past that. So now what happens is that when I ask you a question in that life, and I'll ask questions, and I'll say, what year is this happening in? The interesting thing is your subconscious will just give you the answer right away. It's amazing how good. It's like a computer. It's very fascinating, very powerful. But if you let the conscious sneak in a bit, which it has to be there, I have to have some of your conscious or else you'll be sleeping and I can't talk to you. So if it gets a little chance, it'll go, I'm going to say 1802. Well, here's the thought, some logic here. The conscious does not have a memory. Where does it get 1802? From the subconscious, which holds every single detail of every life, and it doesn't play games. So when you say, I'm going to say 1802, that's the answer that the subconscious gave you, which is the correct answer anyways. So, hello, nice try. So I tell people when they think they made it up, I just say, you're not smart enough. And then I say, I'm not either. So it makes you feel better because the subconscious gives you the answers. Again, I just tell them whatever comes to you right off the bat. And whatever. So here's how this works, though. Years and years ago, I took a hypnotherapy course, 25 years ago, 1995. Yeah, my math is still good. What happened was there was no past life. In fact, if you look up directories of hypnotherapy schools, I have yet to find one that specializes or announces that they do past life. Because enough people out there don't believe in it, so they're not going to come and take their course, and they'd like to have a full class. If half the people believe in it, which is about normal for the world, and in fact less than North America, they wouldn't get very many students. So they don't. So when I took my training, there was 24 of us in the class. We were all teamed up for the whole 3 months, and I was actually teamed up with a male medical doctor. And he said he was tired of giving people pills for the placebo effect. Yes, The doctors do know that the power of the mind is quite powerful. So what happened, though, is that during the class, somebody must have asked the teacher about past life. So all of a sudden, he stands up and says, does anybody here want to see a demonstration of past life? Now, I wasn't sure about this, AJ, because that logic stuff. But then I knew there's something else to this rather than buying your way into heaven or something. Like my parents did. So what happened was I said, yeah. Then he said, all 24 hands, we all put our hands up. He said, who wants to volunteer? 24 hands came down. Okay. It wasn't because we were afraid of it. We just we figured that, people disappeared. We want to hear what it's about. We still weren't that sure either. So we bantered back and forth, you go, no, you go. Finally, you went up. That was a joke time. And moving along.
I'm just intently listening.
So it was one of the girls. So we went up. Now, I had my big notebook out, and I was ready for my pen poised, and ready to hear some stuff. Mm-hmm. So he slowed her down, and then basically what happened was that she described herself to him as that she was seeing a boy, about 10, in the 1930s, playing on train tracks in the central states. So even back then, they did have electric switches, and the boy did get his foot caught in the switch, and unfortunately, a train came along. Oh, wow. In the audience, half the people go, oh, no, and I said, don't worry, he came back. Just relax, okay. Anyhow, but I went, wow, this is interesting, made notes. Then he said, let's try another one, and she started describing being a woman in her 40s in 1942 in London. And if you can recall, what was going on in 1942, do you think?
World War
II. Oh, you're going to get a collection of cookies. You have to give them to Eric and everybody else around you. So anyhow, there was a bombing raid going on. So I'm making notes. Holy mackerel. But the big thing, after the session was over, the next day, the student came in, and she stood up and said, hey, guys, I've always wondered why I hated trains and thunder. Well, everybody started going, whoa. I still feel a bit about it just when I hear some of these things. And then that really, really sold me on past life, as she says, they don't bother me now. Just like that, they were gone. She wasn't like really old, she'd been in her 30s, but she'd been bothered all her life. And they were instantly gone because she saw where it came from. That's the key. The unknown noise, I'll get to that in a bit. So I finished my program, got my certificate, and went out to start my practice. I always find it interesting when people, like doctors and stuff, we say, we're going to start our practice. Didn't you practice when you were in school? I want somebody that's already finished practicing. Okay.
Right, absolutely.
Wordology. Your subconscious is extremely literal. It does take things very literally. That's why you should be careful how you talk to yourself. Now, I found that doing hypnotherapy, that's therapists using hypnosis, not a hypnotist that is an entertainer. I was doing the stereotyping, basically smoking and weight and confidence. I'm very mathematical. I keep a lot of notes and stats. And I noticed that after about a year of doing this, that my effectiveness of eliminating these problems for people was around 20 to 25%. Now, that's not very good. I always say to people, shake your head left and right. That's the way I know they're watching. You can do it too. Then I started to think about this past life. So I started reading authors. There is no training out there other than mine that is extremely effective because mine is a system I developed. And what it was, I started reading books. There's Michael Newton, Life Between Lives. He's got a couple of books out.
Yeah.
Quite big, thick books, but very interesting. Many Lives, Many Masters with Dr. Brian Weiss. You might have heard of that one or not.
Yep. Yeah. I've heard of that one as well.
Good. And actually, Richard Sutphin, Dick Sutphin, he's not that well known for some reason, but he actually has a lot of books, and he actually discovered the energy in Sedona, Arizona. You ever been there?
Nope, I have never been there, but I've heard lots about it.
Yeah, it's got a lot of vortexes. Now, being a bit more, skeptical, when I went, now my wife is different. She sees dead people, as you know, okay?
Right.
And she sees and feels the energy. And there was 4 of us went, 2 of her lady friends and her, and I was the driver, okay. And at one point we went up towards one of the vortexes and she disappeared. We couldn't find her. She said she saw us all the time. And then after a while she enjoyed being on her own, then she just reappeared. But I could feel it. Even though I'm more skeptical, I could feel the energy. But anyhow, I read his book, so I started practicing with some of my volunteers. And trying the different things that I read. And I noticed that they work. So after a while, I decided, pardon me, just dry throat. Hang on. I decided to use this on my clients. And I found that using past life regression, the effectiveness became about 95%.
Wow, that's huge.
So you don't have to be a mathematician to know that's quite a change.
Yeah.
There is a downside, AJ, to being 95% effective. What do you think it might be?
I don't know. Are you too busy?
Most people say
completely booked
5%, and I say no. You don't get a lot of repeat clients because in a session
that would be a thing. Absolutely.
When I eliminate the pain you've had for 20 years and it's gone, it won't come back. So why would you come back and see me again? I mean,
and I was looking at the flip side of all of the word of mouth and all of the clients you'd be receiving.
You are good at this. That's what I was just about to say. The point is you don't get them, but they do give word of mouth and send relatives because it is a skeptical thing because they haven't been to my talk to hear about how hypnosis isn't really real. So when they do come with a recommendation or testimonies from their people, their friends, relatives, it does work. So, and the whole thing is that yes, they do have their concerns disappear, but I can't keep up to the billions of people out there. That is why I do train people. I do have a course. I've been doing it a bit on online training as well because of 2 factors. It's hard to get out right now and hold live classrooms because people can't travel as well. But also it's easier, like the last one American one I just graduated was in California. kind of a long way to go back and forth. So I do online using Skype, then where they can see you. And
that's good. And at the end of the show, just so everyone knows, the listeners, we'll make sure he gives all the information out if any of this appeals to you, so you can get in touch with them. And actually, Chris, let's take our first break for this hour and have a few words from our sponsors, and we'll be back on the other side of this break. You guys stay close.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now. The Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Hey everybody, Rachel Ray here. Nothing brings a bigger smile to my face than cooking up a big meal for the whole family and lots of friends. But there's not enough room at my table for the 17 million kids in our country who struggle with hunger. That's why the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks collects surplus food to give hope to hungry kids. But they can't do it without your help. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Please listen. Now is not the time to fear. When your immune system is strong, shields up. You have very little worries. If your immune system is compromised, you're susceptible to all viruses. I say shields up and no fear. Try Heart Love from GetTheTea.com. Heart Love has a special ingredient called allicin. It comes from the healing part of the garlic plant. No garlic breath. No garlic leaking out your pores, just pure immune-building ingredients that gets your shields up. Heart Love is a unique blend of herbs that loves to build you up. Google garlic and know the benefits. One Heart Love pill is equal to 20 cloves of garlic. 20 cloves! Shields up. You've heard of our Life Change Cleansing Tea at GetTheTea.com. Now try Heart Love. And by the way, take your blood pressure and watch weekly what happens. So here's how to purchase. Log on to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com and build your shields. That's GetTheTea.com. Mention Ray in the coupon code and hit apply and receive free shipping.
Hi, I'm Whitley Strieber, author of Communion and a New World, lecturer and radio host of Dreamland Radio. Be sure to catch my show Friday nights at midnight Eastern Time right here on KGRAradio.com.
Saucer is the leading innovator of original and authentic UFO-inspired essentials and apparel, symbolizing self-enrichment and advancement. Believe in style and elevate your craft at thesaucerbrand.com.
Your alternative talk radio contact, The Planet, KGRAradio.com.
Welcome back to Soul Wanderings, hosted here on KGRAradio.com. We're happy to have you guys here with us. Tonight we are wandering with Chris Lee. He is a clinical hypnotherapist specializing in past life regression therapy. I don't know about you guys, but it's fascinating conversation when you hear about past lives and the stories thereof. And I know, Chris, you have several of them. But before we get down that road and talk about your books and all the sharing of all of the stories and all the things that you get to hear and experience, I want to start where we left off. Do you remember where that was?
No. That's in the past.
It's in the past. It doesn't matter anymore. Well,
No.
So much information was shared with us. I mean, literally, you, in that 20 minutes, someone could get a pretty good grasp of what you do and what you're capable of doing. But if I recall correctly, you were talking about the beginning of different experiences that you were having with people, your success rate and having them come back and word of mouth and things like that. So I know I have this all spilled out. So where do we go next?
Okay. Well, what I found, AJ, was doing a talk, and then I always stay in an area for a few days to do one-on-one sessions. And I do a lot of stats, as I mentioned, and I've found that doing these over 225 talks, that unless I'd been there before, about 0% of the people book a session for the next few days. At the end of the talk, I've averaged it out to about 84% of the people book a session. Obviously, I've explained hypnosis is not what you think, and that what I do helps get rid of all those concerns. One more thing I do like to bring up about where the people have this fear of hypnosis is mainly it's those hypnotist shows. You ever been to one?
I have those corny ones that they have all over. Yeah, no, they're awful.
Yeah. Well, I know a few of the guys that do this, and they know what I do, and so I come in because I know what they're doing, and it's a bit of entertainment. The first thing that people should know is that when they watch one of these shows, especially live, is that the people that are up on stage are 100% aware of what they're doing. Mm-hmm. They don't disappear and have amnesia, and how they determine, or the audience that comes up, is that the hypnotist, that's the entertainment hypnotist, looks for a certain type of people. Now, about 10% of the world are what's called somnambulistic. That took me about a year to pronounce anyway. These are people that they don't care. They're having fun. They don't have that hang-ups or feel embarrassed stuff. You probably met people like that.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And they look for them. So what they do is they'll say, everybody in the audience, put your hands together, and then they say the harder it is to pull them apart, the more they're stuck, etc. And most of the people, nothing happens. But the ones that do, they say, come on up on the stage, and I'll unlock your fingers. Then when they're up there, you'll ask them if they want to stay and have a bit of fun. And even then, they don't have to. But he gets about a big batch of them from there. And when they're in deep relaxation,
Okay.
And when they're deeply relaxed you'll give a bit of a pitch of slowing them down, they actually do act even sillier. They care even less, within reason. Nobody will ever do anything immoral that they wouldn't normally do. So it does not happen that they become a bank robber or anything stupid like that. Now, what happened is that if you watch the show, and they're actually acting about the age of 7 or 8. How hard is it for somebody 7 or 8 or younger to pretend they're barking like a dog or playing musical instruments that aren't there? Not very hard, is it?
Not very hard.
But here's some logic for you. Are you ready for the logic again?
I'm waiting.
When you watch the program, the show, more so if it's live, because you can see the sidelines, whereas on TV it's just directly at where he's at. During the program, he will send people off. Not all at once. That's why he likes lots of people, but every once in a while you'll see him whisper and then the person will leave. He'll be saying, thanks, get off the stage. Because they're not acting silly anymore. And it's not and you'd think that if they're under his control, which is the illusion he gives, why would they have to send people off? It's because they're not under his control. Kids can get bored. They get tired of acting silly, and you've seen this with kids, so they just stop. And if they're not jumping around like the rest of them, it doesn't make for a good show, so they do send them off. So there's some logic right there. I still get people that will introduce me to their friends and say, he's a hypnotist. No, I'm not a hypnotist. And you know what a lot of them will do? Quite often they'll quickly turn their head to the side.
Yeah.
So I like to bug them. I'll say, why'd you do that?
They think you have magic powers.
Yes, the common answer is, you might make me do something that I don't want to do. And I said, really? I say that. If I could do that, isn't there more money in Las Vegas? I could go down there and tell the dealer that I'm winning again. Or, hey, headlines in the paper, 6 more banks robbed by hypnotist. He made me give him the money. What a load of bullcrap. Right. I was a policeman for 8 years, over 8 years. If we heard people that in town making people do stuff like that, I think we'd be putting them in jail, because that's not nice. It's because they don't know how to do it. It's impossible. Does somebody, remember I said, force you to daydream? None of that stuff. So I wish people would get off their thinking is hypnosis is deep relaxation only. Now, when I work with my client, beginning of a session, I'll say to them, may I work with you today? You say yes or no. If you say no, there's nothing I can do. When you say yes, your subconscious now knows you want to work. And away we go. Now, I do know how to slow people down quicker, a couple of methods, elevator, stuff like that, to make it quicker so that we can get to your concerns, because the slower your conscious slows down, easier to get to the memories. That's basically how it works. Now, again, I don't know what you did in a past life, but I have you see the work. You tell me about it. The way my system works is this way, AJ. I call it I gave it a real fancy name. It's called the unknown noise. Okay? If you need spelling, just let me know. For the people out there. Unknown noise. Nothing fancy, not whatever. And it's this way.
It is what it is, right?
Yes. Okay. Now, in your mind, okay, we're going to do a word picture. So you can keep your eyes open if you want. Now, picture you're living alone. It's a dark, spooky, windy night. The wind's howling. Now, when I'm in a crowd, always somebody howls. So, it's good animal. They get a cookie, too. And what happened is that in the middle of the night, there's a crash. And you jump up and go, what the is that? See, I'm being very polite there. You hear it again, and you realize it's just the wind blowing a branch against the window. Now, unless it's going to break, you would let it go and go back to sleep. Now, later that night, there's another crash, and you jump up and go, what the is that? I don't know what that is. I've never heard that before. And that's when you do run amok a bit. Is it somebody coming to kill me, a boogeyman, somebody burglarizing? You run a little strange. Now, unless you check it out, most people resort to childhood. They pull up their bulletproof covers, okay, and try and get some protection and sleep. It doesn't work. Noise is still bugging you. You don't know what it is. Next morning, you're off to work. Going out the door, still windy, and all of a sudden you hear that noise off to your left, and you quickly look to the left, and you realize it's a metal garbage can. The neighbor has a new metal garbage can. He used to have bags. The dogs liked them. But he's now got a metal garbage can. When you see this, AJ, you're going to make a profound statement, plus some adjectives about the stupid neighbor. And the profound statement is, it's a garbage can. Now, next night, another dark, spooky, windy night, wind's howling, garbage can blows over, they do that. There's a 50-50 chance that noise from the garbage can now won't wake you up. But if you do, you're going to make that profound statement again, which is?
It's a garbage can.
Yes, and the stupid neighbors. Now, there is a point here. There's a point here, AJ. The noise is the same both nights. Why doesn't it bother in the second night?
Because you know what it is.
Perfect answer. That's what I like to hear. I get people to go, well, because you got a memory. Oh, keep it simple. You know what it is. Now, unless you feel the garbage cans are coming to kill you, you would let it go. They're not out to get you. Just be annoyed, but not afraid. Now, here's the difference. If I was a reader and said, it's just garbage cans, if you hadn't seen it, but you told me about the noise, and I said, oh, it's a garbage can. Well, that second night, I'd be going, that guy doesn't know what he does. I don't think he knows what he's talking about. He doesn't live here. I'm just going to very carefully peek out the window. It is a garbage can. We are an animal that likes to see to believe.
Yes, that is very true.
Not being told, you see it. Now, when I work with the client, I do a lemon exercise, and to first of all determine a couple of things. One is that I make a profound statement that there is no such thing as imagination. People go, what are you talking about? But they think, because they've all heard of the word imagination. So I do a little test. In fact, if you can do this for me right now. Close your eyes. I do this with the whole group.
Okay, I'm close.
Okay, I could hear it. Okay. Now, okay. In your mind's eye, see or sense or visualize a lemon. A big, bright, yellow, sour, juicy lemon. Seeing yourself cutting it up. And taking a bite of that sour, juicy lemon. Feel that texture. Swallow it. And let's try one more piece of that sour, yellow, juicy lemon. And swallow it. Now, at this point, I say, everybody, open your eyes. And I jokingly say, half of you are making faces at me because half the people in the audience would be screwing up their face, for that taste. The other quarter are a bit polite. And then there'll be a couple of people that didn't work. One person, somebody said, I like lemons. So what? It still makes your mouth water. Get a grip. But the point I'm making is to the people is that if your mouth is watering and there's nothing in your mouth, what is your body reacting to? A memory. You've had one. I guarantee you 100%, if you've never tasted a lemon in your life, you cannot make your imagination produce that watering feeling in your mouth. It won't do it. It reacts to a memory.
Yeah.
So you cannot you can't imagine what the taste would be. That's how it works. So when people go, oh, then I say, if you're not sure though and think you made it up, I don't care. It'll still work. Okay.
Either way, I was going to say, either way, it's real to you.
Yeah. And the whole concerns that will disappear. So that is what my system is about, the unknown noise. Now, another thing I work on is cause and effect. Have you ever had stress, AJ?
Of course.
Okay. Have you ever get a stress headache from it?
Of course.
Yes, a lot of people do. Then they resort to a painkiller. I'm not saying brands because they make enough money as it is. You take a painkiller. Now, generally that relieves the pain. Yes?
I would imagine it would, yes.
You don't take painkillers?
No, I do not.
That's good. I'm proud of you. You don't have to. Now, the point I'm making, though, is that when people do take the painkillers, they're designed to numb that pain.
Right.
The point I'm making, though, is does it eliminate the stress?
No.
No, it comes back.
It always comes back.
And over and over. The point is that my system finds the cause. The effect is the headache. The cause is stress. No. My system, now when you see it's a garbage can, that noise again won't bother you. But if somebody said it's who knows what it is, just try and get used to it, like face your fears, which is another load of BS, that you're numbing it. But when you see where it comes from, you get rid of the cause. Make sense?
Oh,
so that is why my system works. Yes. Now when people come to see... Mm-hmm.
We are so good at overcomplicating.
Mm-hmm. And because more people are becoming baby boomers, all the medicine companies are pushing harder and harder. If you look at a lot of the shows, the commercials are basically to do with, are you getting older, your kidneys going, all that crap. And take this pill, and then very quietly at the bottom they say, but the side effects could be blah, 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 blah. And it's almost like, why the hell would you take it in the first place? So it can be scary. Right. The whole thing is with my system, I help you find out where it came from. I don't know where your different past lives are for, or that caused what, All I do is that you come in, you watch my talk, or I do have a video that people can watch of me doing one of my talks. I've only got one, so it's that talk, to explain what I do. And I do prefer anybody that wants to do a session with me to see my talk or my video. Not because I get people say, well, I already know about past lives. Well, that's nice. I don't give a rat's what you know about past lives. My video or my talk is to explain what I do. This way, when you come to a session, you can relax better because your conscience isn't going, why is he saying this? What's he doing that for? How come he's doing this? Well, the more you're thinking, the less you can relax. Less relaxation, the system doesn't work as fast and slower. So basically, it's when you know what I'm going to be saying. And that type of thing.
Going back, I just have a question. You can find the underlying cause through past lives. So you're saying we could be carrying around, like, our knee hurts. It could be from a past life, not something in this current experience we're having?
Exactly. Let me explain how this works. Our body cells have a memory. In fact, the AMA, the American Medical Association, a few years ago did studies and proved that people getting organ transplants are picking up the traits of the person that had that organ. One guy hated pizza, now he loves pizza. I would say maybe get a part from a musician so I can play my guitar better, whatever. Anyhow, but the point is that they're picking up the traits. Our aches and pains, now you might have noticed in my intro that I'm talking about persistent. If you fall down yesterday, and you get a pain today, there's nothing I can do about it because it's just pain. It's when, in fact, bones can generally repair themselves in about 6-7 weeks. If you get a pain that still stays there for 10 years, you've triggered something. So a lot of aches and pains, I get people that say, well, it was a car accident, so it can't be a past life. It was in this life. And I go, why is the pain still there for 12 years? It's because it triggered a memory from their past life. Now, the whole culprit is to do with lessons not finished. Now, even people that aren't sure about past lives still agree that they should be here learning something. Now, what happens is that when we come into the human form, we are actually energy. We don't die. We just go there. Next body, please. We're energy. We have a group. Now, again, I can't see it, but when I've had thousands of people all describe their soul group the same way, you got to use some logic here. There might be something to this. So that's what I go on. They describe the soul group. How big your group is. Have you heard of soul groups?
Yes, for sure.
The size of your soul group will be constant, about whatever size it is. Your subconscious, in a session, I'll have your subconscious show you. And it could be 5, 10, whatever. But whatever it is, it's always been there. Apparently, we get put together. They're apparently also, if you read Michael Newton's books, still making them. Why? Again, I don't know. But I know that this seems to be the fact. So what happened is that when you go into the human form, we do that to learn lessons. Because energy does not feel aches and pains. And allegedly, we're supposed to mature our soul group by going into the human form and learn these things. When people say, why do we have to do that? What do you think I tell them? I don't know.
We just do.
Yes, they just do. And when it's been done thousands and thousands of times, there must be a reason. Again, I'm not into that. I'm in there to help you. Now, when you come into the human form, we've already decided with our group, we might not even use our whole group. It's like, think of it like a play or a movie. You got to have like maybe 10 actors. And you decide you're the bad guy this time. We've all been the bad guy. And you're the good guy. You're the one that just says, will that be fried, that order, sir, and then gone, sort of thing. And when we come into the human form, we apparently, and seems to be the case, don't remember what the lesson is. Totally gone. That's because how would you learn the lesson if you had the script in your hand? Today I got to do this, this, and this. And, there is a way, though, you can sort of tell about this. Have you ever met 10 people, but one person seems like you've known them all your life and you've never met them before?
Oh, yeah. Definitely have.
Yeah, that's one of your soul group. You ever met people in that same group that's like, I can't stand that person. I don't know why. They'll be your soul group also, but they're the one that chose to be the annoying person. So, whatever. Now,
I haven't heard that one yet.
whenever you don't really know why they're there, but because if you knew what they're there for, you wouldn't take them as seriously, because we're all held together in energy with love. But when somebody's being the bad guy, you have to take it seriously, because like in a movie, the actors all go for a beer afterwards, and the bad guy's one of the guys from the book, having a beer. But in real life, it doesn't work that way. So now what happens is that when people say to me, I need to find out what my life lesson is, good luck. It doesn't happen. Because if you're not supposed to,
we wouldn't even be here.
Yes, we'd already know what to do. I know,
It's
silly. But we do have a problem. We have free will. Now, when people say, can you help me with my life? I'll say, all I can suggest is go with your gut feeling. Okay. Go with your logic. That's what it's all about. And now, we do have a problem. We often don't finish the life lesson. But I need some water. We don't always finish the life lesson. There's usually two reasons. Sorry?
I said that is a thing.
And the two reasons basically why we don't is, one, we get killed too soon, and two, we really don't. We really screw up. If you're supposed to be Mother Teresa and you become Jack the Ripper, I think you screwed up.
You took the wrong road, yes.
Yes. So what happens is that when we don't finish the life lesson, it doesn't go away. Every life we go into, we have a new lesson to learn, but the old ones come along. I had a lady in Australia had typed out on her list of stuff to work on 32 items. And when you type it, it fits in on your sheet better. And I rarely do more than 2 sessions with anybody. And the only reason is not for continuing of the same concerns, because their list is too big. So what happened, though, is that your body cell memory brings in the ache or pain or condition that happened when you died and not finished your lesson. A good example is, and I gave it a cutesy name, it's in my first book, one of the sections, I call it turtleneck syndrome. The reason I did that is because it covers it quicker. About 40% of the world cannot have anything close to their neck, or people touch their neck or wear turtlenecks or something tight.
Is it really that high?
Oh, yes. I have people put their hand up in groups, and it's pretty high. And the reason for that is because they got hung or strangled or beheaded. And the pain that occurred when, say, the hanging, it stays in the body cell memory. Now, in the present life, it might not bother you initially. Like you might have a fear or phobia that didn't start till you're older. Most times you come in with it. But don't say that, somebody scared me in the dark, no, that's why I'm afraid of the dark. Get over it. It just triggered that memory and that life, because we got so many of them that it's just a trigger. So what happened, though, is that when I take people back, now how I do this is simple, very simple, is that in the session, they've slowed down, then I just say to the client, let your subconscious show you the past life that's the cause of your concern. I call them concerns, rather give them names, because they don't need names.
Right, it's irrelevant.
Yeah, can't pronounce some of them. So and the interesting thing about this, AJ, is they always go to it. It's not sometimes, it's always. And now, backing up to the lemon, what I did do with the lemon, when I do my clients' sessions, I start out, you remember that lemon? And they go, yes. And then I say, I don't care about the tasting, but did you see the lemon? Now, most people are visual and say, yes. But a small percentage, about 30%, say, well, I just sort of sensed it. And I say, that's fine. A blind person does not have to see you to know you're there. They can hear you, see you, smell you, kick you, whatever. They know. So when I just need to know when I do the session if you're visual or not visual, because if you're not visual, then I just change my words to what are you sensing rather than what are you seeing. And then they tell me. Now again, I don't see it. I walk them through it. There's certain questions I ask. It's not just tell me all about it. Well, that'll get you nowhere. I ask, I never lead. I don't say, is the pain in the left shoulder where you have your pain? That's leading. I just say, where's your pain? they say the shoulder, and I'll say, which one? And the fact that it's the one that hurts is always 100%, because subconscious is still working from it. You haven't finished the lesson. So the subconscious holds that ache or pain, or is triggered into it, to have you finish the lesson, but still be in the same mode that you were in when you died, that ache or pain or
That is
stuff.
so fascinating how you can carry that from life to life. And then what I want to know is how you find out what the lesson is from having a hurt shoulder. But we're going to take a break, and maybe you don't have the answer to that. Maybe
I do.
It's just interesting.
Let
it's
me
a
make
good
a note
place.
where I am. Okay.
I've got it. I'll remind you, or you can note. But definitely, we're in the process of what you go. We're hearing about the process of what you take your clients through. So let's take a quick break, you guys. When we get back, we're going to hear what happens next. I'm all in suspense, honestly. We'll be right back.
Listening to the KGRA digital broadcast station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Hudson Valley, New York.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now to angioprim.com. That's ANGIOPRIM.com. Or to speak with a trained consultant. Give Angioprim a call at 954-882-7221. That's 954-882-7221.
Hey, this check is wrong. I worked a holiday and 7 hours of overtime. Not getting paid correctly is a real pain. It could also hurt our boss if our company provides out-of-compliance checks. That's right, construction companies doing business with the government can get fined, or officials of the companies can go to jail if the checks aren't right. It's a law. The Davis-Bacon Act has 30 compliance issues for every check, but there is an easy way for construction companies to be in compliance. EMARS offers Compliant Client, a web-based system that finds and corrects all 30 of the possible out-of-compliance check issues. Users of Compliant Client report an 80% savings in time and money. Running a weekly payroll usually takes about 5 minutes. All 15,000 plus clients of EMARS have never had a legal compliance issue. Plus, they sleep better on check day. Contact EMARS at emarsinc.com or call 480-595-0466. You can tug all day long on a carpet that's been glued to the floor. Then you hurt. There are many strong glues out there. Let's see, there's liquid nails and Gorilla Glue. You ever try to remove 3M 5200? That adhesive is strong. Then there's bathroom caulk, silicone rubber, adhesive tape, super glue, flex tape, and stickers. Graffiti. Scientists have come up with glues that stay stuck and can't be removed. Until now. Until Handyman Formula by DeBond. That's right. 95% of adhesives become unstuck when you you spray Handyman formula directly on them. Just spray, wait a few minutes, and remove. It's amazing. Most adhesives become unstuck when you use Handyman formula. Visit DebondCorporation.com or MCMaster.com. Call 561-575-4200. This stuff really works. Handyman formula by DeBond, a great Christmas gift.
Every 2 seconds, someone needs blood. Whether it's a natural disaster or one single child suffering from illness, the American Red Cross stands ready to supply blood when it's most needed. But blood is a perishable product. Therefore, it must continuously be replenished. You can safely donate blood every 56 days. The need is constant and patients are waiting. Call your American Red Cross at 1-800-GIVE-LIFE to schedule your life-saving appointment. Please give blood today. Patients are depending on you.
This is Soul Wanderings Radio.
You are listening to Soul Wanderings here on KGRA Digital Broadcasting, Salt Lake City, Utah, Hudson Valley, New York. Soul Wanderings can be found on all of your listening platforms, all of your favorites. Just wherever you go, go there. That's where we are. iTunes, Spotify, Spreaker, YouTube, all of them. Just find us. And all of my shows are available for replay on soulwanderings.com. If you're enjoying the show, I would really appreciate you sharing with your best pals. I would love to have more stories shared with the world, more opportunities to help and support each other, and all over good stuff, because that's what happens here on the show. Tonight we are wandering with our latest guest, Chris Lee, and he is a clinical hypnotherapist specializing in past life regression therapy. He's also an author, and I'm hoping we're going to hear about that. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure we will. Why not? Before the break, we were just getting into the process that you go through, that you take the clients through, and the relearning lessons. And I was really excited, really disappointed we had to go to a break, but really excited to hear how this works. How do we carry pain from past lives and learn of the lessons we're meant to learn in this experience because of that pain?
The main thing, as I mentioned, is that we have to finish the lessons. Subconscious, remember, body cell memory, holds the ache or pain from the life that you didn't finish. Again, get neck problems, or there's a lot of things, tons of stuff. That's why I have 4 books on case histories, and there's 2 more coming. But what it is, for example, we're mentioning about the pain, like people watch the video or come to my talk, and then I give them a sheet, and they start writing down the stuff they'd like to work on. It's amazing that when I do talk to them initially at their session, I usually add about twice as much as they have, because a lot of people forget or think that they're stuck with certain things, or that there's nothing they can do about it. That's their lot. But when I explain how many things that can be done, it's amazing. So when you got in fact, I'll give you a better example. A lady came in to see me last year when I was on tour. She said she hadn't mentioned that on her list, the pain in her left shoulder. She said, but it's because it was a car accident I had a year and a half ago. And I said, really? And so what happened? She told me a bit. Then I said, have you done anything about it? She said, well, for the last 7 months, she's been going to physiotherapists. And actually, they're a good trade. So I said, show me what your arm can do or how much movement. So she brought her arm up almost like parallel to the floor, like straight out. But her face was just in pain. Said, well, earlier, before that hypnotherapy, that physiotherapy, rented lips, is that it couldn't go that far. So I said, let's check it out. Add it to the list. Because again, as I said, in a session, I could take people through 3 to 6, 7 different lives. And that's how quick this thing works. So I said, let your subconscious take you back to the cause of the pain in your shoulder, or the concern, generally say, in your shoulder. So within moments, she starts to describe that she's in a battle. And back in the olden days, I've actually taken people back to caveman days too. But anyhow, is that somebody threw a spear and got her in the left shoulder. Actually threw a spear at her and hit her. And I said, where? She said, left shoulder. And I said, okay, you saw where it came from. Now, there's a couple of things I do say that helps to clear it up. I'm not going to tell you because then people won't take my training. Kidding. Okay, you still have to take the training to know how to work it right, yes. But there's a couple of words to say and a couple of expression things that you do. But within about a couple of moments, I said, now, eyes are closed, they're sitting in a chair beside me. I said, now, move your left arm. Well, the main thing that I love about what I do, AJ, is to see the looks on their faces as they move a part of their body that they haven't moved for 10, 20, 30 years without agony. Or picture heights that normally bothers you, and I have them see it. In fact, with fear and phobias, then once we're seeing where it came from, I said, now picture that same problem in your current life, and they instantly think of a scene that bothered them. They go, oh, it's gone. That's how quick it is. Anyway,
just
so when
like
they move,
that?
Yeah, I'll explain that too. And so moving her arm around, she actually was almost straight up and easily. So I use a scale of 0 to 10. I say 10 is the way it hurts. 0 is cleared up. Actually, funny, I used to say 1 to 10, and I learned stuff. My client one time said, 1 means you still feel it. Okay. Oh yeah, 0. 0 to 10. And she said 1. Now, it's generally 1 or 2 because there'll still be some muscles that are being, from holding it tight, have to sort of loosen up. But that 1 or 2 will go down to 0 over the next couple of days. That's how quick this works. But here's your 7 months of physiotherapy, and with me, in about 5-10 minutes, it's gone. That is how simple this is, because remember the unknown noise. When you know it's a garbage can, the noise doesn't bother you anymore. That's how simple it is. Fears and phobias.
Just like that.
Yes. And it works. When I first started, I'm going, I hope this is going to be good. And after about 20 or 30 people, I realized it's not, will it go? It's how fast is it going to go? Because it always. Occasionally, you might have 2 past lives affecting that area, because sometimes you might have got 2 different lives, and spear might have just been over a couple inches from another life. So occasionally. But that's only like 1 out of 3 times. If it is, it's usually only 1 other. Then when you say it's still a 5, then I know there's another one. Then I'll say, let your subconscious take you back to the other past life that's the cause. Within seconds, they're describing it. So It's not like I can see that they went down a hallway and opened the door and say, oh, no. I just say, go and see it. They're already there. In fact, some people are so quick, they're actually telling me as I'm still talking. Because
okay, but explain that. How would this spear go from one life into another? Because it killed them in that life and they were already into another life?
Well, it's because it's too, like, okay, one lady, she had a pain in her upper back. So I took her to the past life and she said, that's gone. She said, oh, well, there's another pain in that area, not as much. So we went to that past life. Then she said, there's an arrow in my back. So I took her to that one. So that one did take 3. It's just because they're close. Different lives had different ones. Generally, it's only one past life that takes care of your concern, but sometimes it's 2, rarely 3. Because, like, if you get hung, you also could have been beheaded in another life, but it's just the lessons. There would be different lessons. When I work with my client, and I take them through a dying, which I will always do, and nobody ever has a fear of death, because if you believe in past life, then hello, we're coming back, is I always, then from those lives, I can have your subconscious tell you what was the lesson you're supposed to have learned. They can do that. They just can't tell you what's your current. And when it's a lesson like, and it's usually just a 1 or 2 words like self-love or patience or something, then I can usually see the look on their face like, oh God, I haven't learned that. So I remind them that if you don't take care of that, you're going to be coming back with that one. In fact, I had one lady, she was supposed to learn patience. And I said, and during the session, 2 lives came up that had patience to learn. So I said, let your subconscious tell you how many past lives have you done to learn patience that hasn't worked. And she said, oh my God, 114. I said, I think you better do something about this. She said, yes. So once you know, because we apparently reach a point where we don't have to come back. We've learned everything. And as people get closer to that, they say, oh yeah, I don't want to come back. So if you don't want to come back.
I'm looking forward to that point.
Yes. Apparently you do get jobs. You move up the food chain. You become either guides or the people that do reviews after you died or fix it. But apparently you work up. Again, read Michael Newton's books. Now, fears and phobias. I've worked with 100, that's my book number 2. I've worked with 141 different fears and phobias. Now, a lot of them are ones of. But let's see how good you guys are. And you got people that are with you. They can join in. What do you think is the top 4 most common fears?
Fear of heights.
That's number 1. Very good.
Fear of drowning.
That's number 4. You're good. 2 more.
Spiders.
No. Further down.
Fear of dying.
Oh, God. That's almost not existent. Remember, people that do believe in past lives don't have a fear of dying.
Well, I thought you meant in general.
Okay.
Like, what are the biggest
It's way
fears?
down. It's way down. It's way down. You
Okay.
get 2 more. See if Race or Eric can help you.
I'm trying to think of all the fears that I have. Fear of public speaking.
No.
Okay.
But I can fix that.
I don't have a fear
Number
of public
2. Number 2 is
obviously.
claustrophobia.
Oh, yes. Claustrophobia would be a thing.
Yes, because we often got buried alive. Not intentionally, but in comas, they're testing for, are you dead? Do you fog a mirror or move a feather? Now, when you're in a coma, you hardly breathe. Oh, he's dead. A lot of grave robbers.
Oh, I cannot even
Reports of
imagine.
grave robbers, find opening up graves or coffins and find a scratch mark. Now, number 3 is an odd one. It doesn't quite sound like it should be in the category, but it is. It's called fear of success.
Really?
Yes. What it is
bizarre.
that it's because in past lives you've been rich or got promoted or moved up the ladder fast, and because in the olden days they didn't have CSI, people would kill you. Now, it means you probably, or definitely didn't finish the lesson because it's still bothering him. But your subconscious brings in that don't get too rich, you're going to get killed again. So it makes people do things like self-sabotage.
Oh, this is all making sense.
See, told you I used logic. Now, moving along.
I like the logic.
Yeah. And that's how it works. So I do help people with fear of success because a lot of times one guy said he would start to make stupid decisions on the stock market because he was doing it on the side and making lots of money. He started getting too rich and really way up there, and he started making stupid decisions. And sure enough, he had died in a past life, didn't finish the lesson, and he had been murdered for being rich. So you can think of the logic. You bring that along with you. Your subconscious doesn't help you. It just says, don't get too rich. You're going to get killed. So those are your top 4. Now, if somebody ever says to you, here's a good way of getting rid of your fear, it's called face your fears. Don't listen to them. It's bullshit. Excuse my French. A good example is this one guy came to see me in his 30s, and he said that he had a fear of heights. And I said, okay. And have you ever done anything for it? He said, they convinced me to face my fears of heights. I said, what did they do? They said, they made me do skydiving.
No.
Okay, interesting. And, and how is your fear of heights? And he sort of looked down at the floor and said, I still can't climb ladders. It didn't work. Facing your fears, what a load of crap. It's like facing that sound of the garbage can. Try and get used to it. No. See where it came from. So he saw where he came from. He had fallen off a mountain and gone. And that took about 10 minutes. Actually, to give you an example, one lady has a record in my books. We went to one life in her session, and it took care of 7 issues. 2, that's why you tell me all the different things. I might not have time to get to them all, but sometimes they overlap. 2 she had forgotten to mention, fear of heights and around her neck, because they had tied her in a noose and thrown her off a mountain. So that's where those 2 came from. So it does happen. But all it is tell me where the concerns are, what it is. And then I just go.
So many dramatic ways of dying.
Sorry?
So many dramatic ways of dying. The ways that everyone are dying are very dramatic. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like getting thrown off a cliff. Okay, sorry. That's just a lot.
Some of them are boring. You can die of old age. That does happen. It doesn't mean you finished your lesson. You can die of diseases. You can die of hanging. Don't forget, back in the olden days, they weren't that polite. If you went to a dungeon, if you got put in a dungeon, you're fairly sure you'll die there. Because they don't say you're going to be 2 years here in the dungeon, we'll kick you out.
Right.
Those 2 years, they hardly feed you. You starve to death. Or they get IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, because the food isn't that great. Or, in fact, dungeons causes a lot of different problems with people. The jailers were not known as really nice people. They weren't, therapists. They weren't counselors. They liked to rape all the female women in their jail cells. So a lot of people bring over into the current life a thing called libido. When I first heard this about 20 years ago, I thought, is that a car? I didn't know. Duh. Libido, sex desire. Think of the logic. If you've been raped constantly in the dungeon and you haven't finished the lesson, you come into this life, I don't think sex is going to be really exciting for you. That's where that comes from. But you also get things like fear of rats, because you used to have them chewing your fingernails. Do you know anybody that does that?
I do, yes.
Yes, that's usually dungeons, because they didn't feed you, so you chewed your nails for some kind of sustenance.
Wow.
One guy, now occasionally I will get people that come in that says, I don't have anything, I just want to see what this is all about. Every single one of them, within 10 minutes of chatting with them, I'll have about 5 items on their list. Because they think that what they're stuck with isn't a problem. Even though one guy was cracking his knuckles while he's talking to me. I hate that. He tried to use that logic. Oh, well, you got to loosen them up and get a grip. Otherwise, if they did, everybody would crack their knuckles. Sure enough, he had been in a dungeon and they were cutting off his fingers, torturing him. All it was doing in the current life was cracking them, letting him know that his fingers were still there.
Oh,
Another lady came in and she continually cleared her throat. I said, how long have you been doing that? She says, what? And she hadn't even noticed it. So she cleared it. I said, oh yeah. Says, it does bother people. So I said, put that on your list. She had died in Pompeii. Do you remember that, the volcanic thing, that city of Pompeii thing?
Mm-hmm.
And archaeologists are still finding bodies there, and they're usually fairly intact. They weren't burnt. It was the suffocation from the dust.
Oh, wow.
She stopped clearing her throat. She left without clearing her throat. She said, I've never felt it so clear. Asthmas, allergies, they're all past life. Because if they weren't, if there was a normal thing to have an allergy, why doesn't everybody in the world have an allergy? I have none. I have no asthmas. I have none of these things. And in fact, I haven't had a headache since I was about 22. That's about 10 years.
That sounds incredible.
That's 10 years ago. Just kidding. Remind me to tell you about headaches.
Just 10 years.
Okay. But anyhow, there's always something. Now, there are some conditions people come in with that, okay, when your body cells duplicate the pain from a past life, the muscles tighten up. But if it's not hurting enough, it will actually do it and put bones out of joint to make it hurt more. And like one guy with lower back, which is common, he had said, when I went to the past life, he had thrown off a horse in that life. So I said, now move your back around. And he went, did you hear that? And I said, oh yes. His back went crack. And when he finished the session, he stood up and he said, I haven't stood this straight for 12 years because it was being held at a joint to duplicate the pain because the lesson wasn't done. When it lets go, a lot of my people start cracking and stuff like that. One of the things that people come in with their big long word of the problem, pain.
Their diagnosis, yeah.
Yeah, they've had 20 years to pronounce it. And what happened is I've only bothered to learn two sort of big words. One of them is fibromyalgia.
Familiar.
Two of my doctor friends that I worked with laughed, and they said that when they can't prove where your pain comes from, they call it fibromyalgia, so you'll feel better. Oh, well, at least I know what it is. Do they fix it? No, they can't. It's because you haven't seen me. I will have you go to the past life. That's the cause. And sure enough, one lady, it was all over her body. Sometimes it's just certain parts. The one with all over her body, she had fallen off a mountain and broke every bone in her body. Plus, when she came in, she was cracking a lot of the bones in her body. She stopped doing that. Now, headaches are, as I already told you, the stress headaches. But what it is there's another type of headache, and you might have heard of it. It's called migraines. You ever heard of them?
Yes.
Yes. Have you ever had them?
Yeah, I'm tongue-tied because, yes, it's my life. Yes, I have migraines often.
Well, my success rate of clearing them up is 100%. Anyhow, what it is that migraines are all 100% past life. That is why they cannot cure them. When you have a migraine, and a lot of the world does, some have had them and they disappeared, but some get them constantly. Basically, the stats are more than likely you'll be female, and generally you'll have your first one between the age of 9 to about 15, somewhere in there. It's to do with puberty, a change of life. That's also why more people need classes between the age of 8 and 15, because their subconscious listens to you and you don't like what's coming, so you don't want to see what's coming. That affects you. But anyhow, back to the now. I have 3 brothers, no sisters. And they're all younger. The next younger brother, he did get migraine at 13, and around puberty time. So he had them quite often. So when I saw him after I finished my training, he had moved to England. So I went over there to visit, and he had his migraine. Now migraines also are 2 to 4 day headaches, aren't they? They're not a couple hours, are they?
Right, they can last very long, yes.
Yeah. Light sometimes makes them worse. I had a lady that couldn't, if she smelled chocolate, it got worse because it was to do with the past life. Anyhow, now my brother had the headache. He also, if you ever remember, siblings, often your siblings will have different likes, dislikes, interests than you. And the logic is that you have the same parents. I was one of the last people I know that had the same parents. And what happened was they don't really have any training or teaching you. It might teach you some stuff, but why do you like music and one of your other brothers can't, and blah, blah, blah. So this brother, he loved soldiers. So Christmas time always got toy soldiers. And what happened was that when I went to see him in England, he had a migraine. So I said, you want me to work on that? And he says, please. He wasn't quite sure, but he thought he'd give it a shot, and he's certainly a believer now. Make the long story shorter. What it is that he saw himself in World War I as a soldier. He was in his first days in the trench as an English soldier, and he said, "I've been here all day. It's quiet. Just I'll be there. I'm going to look up." He put his head over out the trench, and he got a shot through the head. They used to keep snipers on both sides for twits that put their head up. Then all of a sudden he said, "Wait a minute, but I'm also a soldier in World War II." And I said, "What's the story now?" And he says, "Well, I'm a Canadian soldier being trained in England." And that happened a lot then because of the connection between Canada and England. I said, "Where were you? Where was your training done?" He says, "Oh my God, the same little town that I have my pub in." We get drawn to certain places. Now he was in the Normandy raid. He was on the first landing craft going over, and boom, got shot through the head. So I said, "Not very good." He says, "No." He said, "I never fired a shot at the enemy in either war." Okay. But I said, "Where did the bullets hit you?" And you can see the look on his face, eyes are closed, you can see the dawning. He says, "The left forehead." And I said, "Where did the bullets come out?" Because those are big bullets. He said, "Oh shit, both come out the back right." I said, "Where do your migraines start and finish?" Because some people have migraines that sit, some people have them that travel. He said, "Oh my God." He says, "They start up on my forehead and they come out and it stops at the back."
Oh, wow.
In the corner. He hasn't had a migraine since 1997.
That's incredible.
When you go to, they make pills for the migraines. And I've been told by people that they pay sometimes $25 to $50 each. I'm going, what have they got, gold in them? Do they fix you? And they just numb you. There is no cure for migraines until you see where they come from. Another lady, she got a migraine every time she did something stupid in the back of her head. Sure enough, in that past life, she did something stupid. And I can have your current life memories tell you, when's the last time you had a migraine? She goes, "Oh God, I was doing something stupid." And I said, "The one before, same thing." I said, "We can do this all day. Every time you did something stupid, it triggered that migraine because you did something stupid in that life and got hit on the head." And she doesn't have a migraine either. So migraines are something simple. So anybody's got migraines, stop. I can fix them for you. I can eliminate. That's how it works.
Completely get rid of. That's just incredible to me.
So there's no curing. No, we don't really cure you. And if I eliminate the problem, the cause, then like they caused an effect of a headache, it's gone. Arthritis is the other big word that I bother to even learn. It's a simple thing. Your bones are out of joint. Usually it's your hands and feet. But it's the joints. And people say, well, some say it's hereditary or in fact, it's not. Just that the power of suggestion sometimes. But what happened is that this one lady came in to see me a few years ago in her 50s. Her hands, she showed me her hands. She held them up. They could hardly move. Now, when your bones are out of joint, which is what happens, because remember I said it duplicates the pain, puts them out of joint. Of course, they're going to start swelling in calcium because that's the body reaction because they're not working well. So it's not like a disease. It's just the condition of it being held there. She saw, and it's been about 6 years, she could hardly write. I said, let your subconscious show you where it came from. Sure enough, it was a dungeon.
Another dungeon.
A lot of stuff is dungeons. My fourth book basically is red, called Crimes Against Humanity. It's to do with serial killers and dungeon stuff. Anyhow, they were smashing her hands with a hammer. The guards were not nice people, and they didn't have to report to anybody. So they were smashing her hands. So then I said, sitting in the chair, I says, now move your hands. She put her hands up, and do you remember Rice Krispies? They used to advertise it was Snap, Crackle, and Pop. You remember?
Yes.
That's what I thought I was listening to. She started moving her fingers around, and it was like Snap, Crackle, Pop. It was amazing. For about 10, 20 seconds, hard to measure exactly. And all of a sudden, it stopped, and her flexibility was 100%.
No way.
It was actually about a 1, because you got to remember there is some muscles. No, I think it was a 2, 1 or 2. But the point is, there was still some residue from being not fluid, not being able to be to move them. But they cleared up.
That just blows my mind how it could clear just from shifting that energy.
Just by seeing it. That's all it is. You see it. You realize it's nothing to do with your life.
You recognize it.
You got to finish the lesson. Whatever. In fact, I don't even always have people see the lesson that needed to be finished. It's irrelevant. The point is, whatever it is, you still have to do it, but you don't have to bring in the physical, the body cell memories. They can be gone. Like if your life lesson, AJ, was to save a family living on a mountain, okay, and you have the biggest fear of heights, they're going to be toast because you ain't going there. Okay, so that you to come back and do it again. So they like it when I get rid of the junk, the problems, the concerns that keep you from doing your life lesson. Just I can't find the lesson. So they do like that. Sometimes a lot of people think that hearing and vision is they're stuck with it. You can remember a lot of it's power suggestion. Like as you get older, your vision will go. As you get older, you're going to get bald, men. As you get older, your memory starts to go. This is all powers of suggestion. Don't talk to Johnny. He's got a cold. You're going to catch that cold. You probably will catch the cold because your your subconscious listens to what you say. It will lower your immune system. Your subconscious is in control of your body cells. And if you lower your immune system, you've got a better chance. So that's when I said, be careful how you talk to yourself. Hypochondriacs, ever heard of them?
They say that, though, like your mind is such a powerful tool and what you believe will happen. You know, within reason. But when it comes to your body or your belief system, you create your own reality by the thoughts in your mind.
Yeah, and listening to people telling you junk. Because more people will tell you negativity because they can't do something, so they don't want you being good at it. And they say, oh, you can't, like public speaking. No, you can't do that. They'll laugh at you. They'll throw tomatoes at you. Oh, that bullshit. You're born with the ability to talk. See kids. It's just that it gets drummed out of you. So a lot of it's the power of suggestion. Hypochondriacs. A lady
I'm interested about that one.
A lady I worked with one year, she said that the little town she was in, it's a ski town, northern BC, and she said that she had 3 older lady friends that sort of made her feel good. They said, come and have coffee with us and tea at the local coffee shop. We have a thing called Tim Hortons. They're starting to go into the States, but there's thousands of them. So anyhow, so she went. And when they sat down, they all got their tea and they sat down. She said all 3 of these older ladies opened up their pill trays and started counting the different pills they have to take. She said they were bragging about who had the most pills. That is sad.
That's horrible.
She said they're bragging. Some of the pills were for the side effects of the pills they shouldn't have taken in the first place. She said after about 3 visits, she stopped going because she wasn't taking any pills. And they were trying to make her feel bad because she didn't. How stupid. I get annoyed. Awful. That is stupid.
It's awful.
And you know why they're hypochondriacs? I thought you'd never ask. What it is that it's called training.
I want a cookie.
Oh, you got a whole box by now. What it is, AG, is that when you're young, Johnny, don't go to school today. You've got a cold. Well, Johnny doesn't like school, so you actually rewarded him.
Yeah.
And the subconscious likes to do and help you, and it says, oh, he liked that, so how do we keep him from having to go to school? Let's keep him sick. So basically it's an overall, but that is how it works.
That makes sense.
I see people on Facebook, they'll put down, oh, I got a cold again. Within an hour, they got people that say, oh, you poor dear, I'll send healing, have some,
right.
Food. Like,
One
perpetuating it.
Yes.
Shut up and leave it alone. It'll go away. Lots of it. Now, one of the things I wanted to mention, too, is about, you did mention debilitating emotions. I'm starting to get more into that because I realize now, especially with people having to stay home, more people are getting depressed and anxious and mood swings and anger, all these kind of things. It multiplies. What it is that your emotions, now I'm talking about things like depression, anxiety, unworthiness, suicide, extreme mood swings, anger, I got a list, feeling abandoned, constant worry, panic attacks, that stuck feeling, self-sabotage, OCD, ADT, all these chicken soup.
Yeah.
Yes. Have you heard of any of those? I'm sure you
Yeah, I've
have.
heard of all. Yeah, definitely.
Now, people go to therapists to get rid of these emotional problems.
For years.
For years, yes.
Yeah.
A good example, and basically my system also works for that too. Because it's not just the ache or pain that you drag in from that life, you also can bring in these emotions. But another reason why we have a lot of these emotions is that we do have a thing that I now make sure everybody, I take them through it in a session. It's called stuck lives. They have lives they haven't finished, and that part of their now our energy is so strong that we can be in more than a few bodies that have died and still be in the current one. What happened is that they didn't. When you die, you don't have to leave, but your energy generally goes back to the soul group. I call it home. The reason why they don't leave when they do stay, it'll be from extreme emotion. It'll be things like anger, or revenge. I'm going to kill the people that killed me, or I'm going to help my family. They're still there. Well, a little hard to help because it's hard to get a job when you're dead. But anyhow, not finished, confusion. Some people aren't even sure they're dead. Now, and they get that stuck feeling. You ever had or heard of people feel that, and I hear it a lot, that they feel stuck in their life. They can't seem to go forward.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I guarantee you got a stuck life. What happened is that the emotion that holds them there is part of your main energy. You are part of your main energy, aren't you? So those emotions of the debilitating emotions, they're affecting you. And you just don't know just like the garbage can, but you don't know where it came from. So how does the therapist get rid of stuff when almost all of them work on current life issues? Why did you hate your parents? Or what's that got to do with, revenge? And so this lady, one lady I like using as an example, she came in and she said, one of the things is anger. I'm always angry. And this life has been great for me, but I'm always angry. I've been going to a therapist for 4 years, she said. I said, let's check it out. Sure enough, she had a stuck life that was held there with anger. The anger of who killed her in that life. And guilt is the biggest thing people drag along too. The guilt of not finishing your lesson. So anyhow, she saw that and she started sitting up in the chair and very straightened right up. And she says, this feels nice. I have no anger. It's gone.
Just like that, she recognized that the anger was no longer with her.
It was for that life. But what happens when you got a stuck life, I have you take that one home. It's why it works, I don't know. I just say, go see that one and tell them time to go home. And it's like they need, and why they do go with you is because we listen to ourselves. Because other people from your soul group can come and say, come on, let's go home. We can't make you. It's sort of like, but when we come and say to that person, time to go home, we're talking to ourselves. We listen to ourselves better than to others, don't we?
Yeah, we do. I don't understand that, but we do.
Yeah, I know. But we take them home, and when they're back in the soul group, that anger, that emotion that was holding them is gone. So therefore, it's not in you either, because you're part of the same energy. Mm-hmm. And this happens all the time. There's so many things people go to therapists for, and if they're not getting better, it's because I'm not saying everything is past life. I've only figured out that it's about 98% past life. I think that's pretty high. It's
an incredibly high amount, definitely. I have a question from the chat room. They were wondering if each life you can come back as a different gender. If you're always the same or different.
Well, there's only two genders. So if I'm moved for a different gender. Yes, we have both been male and female. You're generally more one than the other initially. So like, oh God, you were a woman last time. We need a woman this time. You be the woman this time. So when we start rolling with our life lessons and past lives, we're generally about 3 to 4 times one gender more than the other. Apparently, when we are ready to finish, we have to balance them. So when I'm working with a client and I have the subconscious tell me how many past lives you had, which it will, and what gender, and if I see you're getting close, I'm going to say, I will say, you're not going to be here much longer. So that's a nice thing. But anyhow, yes, we've been both. But not at the same time, of course. We also, just a quick thing, we have been animals. I forgot to mention that. We have been animals in past life, more so at the beginning. but we're clever animals.
Really?
Like it'll be a dog or a cat or an eagle or a wolf or a horse. I've yet to have anybody be a cow. I don't think there's much lesson in being a cow as to what steak you're going to be. So, but it's clever ones. That's why people, when they go back to their soul group, go, oh, my dog's there. And sure enough, it'd be the dog that they've had all their life, and it was so close. Of course, it's one of their... That's why dogs will help you a lot. Like they've been known to drown trying to save masters and stuff like that.
Right.
So we do. One was an elephant not too long ago. They're smart too.
Very.
Yes. One of the
it's
things.
It's interesting how we could actually. Well, I guess energy is energy. So, I mean, if I think about it a little more, it makes sense.
Yeah. The biggest thing that people have is guilt.
Yes.
Earth is a very dense planet. I know people aren't all sure about this, but yes, we've had lives on other planets. If you're not sure about that, get over it. We have. Anyhow, but we like to avoid Earth because it's dense. What it means is that we drag emotions with us on this planet. Most of them we don't. The biggest emotion we drag from life to life is guilt. So many people I meet feel guilty about everything, and they haven't got a clue why they feel guilty. One of the biggest things is the guilt of not finishing that past life lesson. Oh no, I didn't finish it. But it's also just some of the things that happen in there. Sometimes people were abused, and they get told by the abuser it's their fault. That's why I'm hitting you, and they believe they're guilty of causing. So when I do take people back to see these lives, we straighten it out. So guilt is the biggest thing. Ironically, the second most common emotion we drag along that can really bother people is doing something stupid or embarrassment. I knew a girl that would never eat in restaurants. If she did, she would just have a glass of water. She would never ate in front of me. It's because she felt that how embarrassed she'd be if she spilled some food.
Oh my.
So yes, some of these things can really drag along, and doing stuff stupid like the migraine, as I mentioned earlier. One of my best ones I'm going to tell you, besides the fact that I can help you get rid of your emotionals, even I worked with, in fact, with my sister-in-law, bipolar. It's 2 lives that's affecting you. Okay, 2 emotional, 2 stuck lives. These things are easy to fix. But anyway, one of the things, before we run out of time, is that when I work with a client, I do work with clients on Skype, and it's very effective. But when I work with somebody in my office, I do put headsets on them because I can put some boring music into it that'll help slow them down. Also, sometimes people, especially when I'm touring, some of the places they give you aren't, there's traffic and that, so this helps eliminate that. But what it is that this lady, she was about 35, put the headset on, like after we chat, and then I get ready to rock and roll. I put the headset on her. I said, I just want to do a sound check. I don't want the music being too loud. She said, what music? So I turned it up. No music. So I turned it up really loud, louder than anybody. And she said, just nice. I said, you have problems with hearing, don't you? She had that look like, how did I know? I do notice one thing. If people are getting hard of hearing, look at them closely. They'll stare at you. They start learning to read lips too.
Right.
So put your hand in front of your face when you're talking to them. Then you'll know. Just kidding. But they can't. So what happened was, I said, how long have you had this concern? She said, about 20 years. About 15.
That's so long.
And let me show you how we fixed it. I said, let's go to the past life. And she hadn't put it down because a lot of people think they're stuck with it. Put it down. I said, go to the past life. To make it as long story short, is that she was an only child, a girl 15 on an old farm, and it was kind of a messy farm, like so a bit of a grubby place. So anyhow, a rat had got in, and Mom was screaming to Dad that there's a rat in the living room. So he had gotten his rifle out. Now she was in another room or bedroom, said she wondered what it's all about. She says, I'm nosy there. And then she goes, and I'm nosy in this life too. We do bring in our traits. She said that I ran around the corner as the Dad fired the rifle, and she was too close and the noise deafened her. So I said, now you see where it came from. And then she said, yes, and can you turn the music down?
Oh my goodness.
That's how fast.
Just that quick.
That's because all it is the muscles being held, and you have little muscles in your ears and thingies that as soon as they let go, it came back. I get goosebumps.
It's unbelievable. That just blows me away. I'm curious. I don't know if there's a way you'd be able to tell through the work that you do, but if we're working, you say we don't. Okay, let me backtrack. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Okay.
We are here to learn lessons. Obviously, That's clear. If we don't learn the lesson, we take that experience to the next life so we can learn the lesson. If you have the lesson. Yeah. Right. If we have an experience like with you, or however that looks through hypnotherapy or past life regression, and you are the one that assists in that lesson, that healing of that experience, does that make a difference whether it's kept with us? Like, are we able to move on without it in a future life?
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be a trick question. Sometimes I'm not very clear because my mind just goes in all of the directions before I can verbalize them. Does it matter if we're learning the lesson on our own or if we have the assistance from someone else? Is it a lesson learned still the same?
No, you still learn it, but just you're not restricted from it. But also the physical. Remember I said about fear heights and you can't help somebody living on a mountain. Right. So one thing also, just to quickly add, when you go to see these incidences, the percentage of abreactions to seeing it is 0. I get people say, what if I see it and I go screaming into the night? Well, I don't know, but I've done thousands of people and it doesn't even come close. When you see where it came from, it's not like, oh, well, if I see it was bad, and what if people think now in my past life I was bad and they're going to think about me in this life? Get over it. First of all, they don't know. Second is, when you see what it is, you do not get an abreaction. You do get a nice reaction, which is relief. That's where it came from. I can let it go. I can get on with my life.
That's
so there's no abreaction. So if you get rid of what it is, yes, you still have to finish the lesson, but at least you're not inhibited. And again, seeing where it came from in that life in the life that you just did, at least you know what not to do. So that does help you. Does that cover anything?
That. No, that makes sense. It was kind of a really crazy question because that's the way my brain works, but
we can fix that.
We can simplify it for me. I don't overcomplicate it. It's a beautiful thing. I'm really fascinated by it, most definitely. So we still have, about 5 minutes, or let's see. No, we have we have 5 to 8 minutes left. So I want to make sure that you get to share everything that you wanted to share, because I know that you do have a lot to give us, a lot of information to give us, including how listeners can connect with you, how they can purchase your 4 books and the 2 upcoming ones that you have yet to put out.
I'll have to make room for the other one I self-publish. There's a few more to go. What it is that, my website is being revamped a bit, so if you go to it, you can see the books, but you can't order from the books. I get people say, I tried ordering. It says, but I said, if you look closely, it says, email me. Because they had that shopping cart thing on there at one time, and it screwed up so many times, so it wasn't worth it. But anyhow, what I do is that my email address, now I have a few for different parts of training and that, but the main one I want people to use, it's called CL, that stands for Chris Lee, at pastlifewrap.com. So P-A-S-T, past, L-I-F-E, life, R-A-P. Now, it's not really wrapping, but R-A-P stands for regression and progression. A lot quicker than trying to spell it, because it took forever and everybody make mistakes. So CL at pastlifewrap.com. And hopefully you can put it up so people can see it. So now the books, there's 4 of them. The first one is called Life in the Past Lane. and it's a couple hundred pages. Now they're not how-to books. Get over it. I need to teach you how to do it. You can't read. See, I cannot even do any of the stuff that I do on myself because I have to ask questions. If I'm asking questions, I'm thinking. If I'm thinking, I'm not relaxed. So I do get some of my graduates to work on me. I only had a couple of things anyways, and now I know why I can't stand looking at cottage cheese and sour cream.
Really?
Yeah. No, that's not normal. Anyhow, but now it's okay. But the point is that book one, I thought was my only book. Then I realized when you got like 20,000 case history, now some of them are boring, but I put that in, and I was going to put, which is now book 2, Life of the Past Lane, Fears and Phobias. I'm holding them up, but they can't see it anyway. And it's basically on fears and phobias. Then the third one was Aches and Pains, because there's tons of things that you can put in here. And
that one's also case studies?
Yeah, they're all case studies, yeah.
Okay.
But I get people that read them and go, I didn't know that could be fixed. That's because I couldn't tell you about everything. There's teeth grinding and motion sickness, epilepsy, overweight. Overweight is also past life. You were rich in a past life, so you're overweight, and of course because that was how you proved that you were had money. All rich people back in the old days were overweight, so they usually died from it. And if you're going on a diet, you lose weight, your subconscious says, no, we haven't finished that lesson. We were big, so we're putting it back on. Or there's 3 actually things. Number 2 is either you're the dungeon. People starve to death. Or street people. No, we're not going to lose weight. We starve to death. I'm going to put the weight back on. Your subconscious is very powerful. And the third thing is often because you got raped in a past life. And your body subconscious says, well, let's put on extra weight so you'd be less attractive and less likely to be raped. Book number 4 is Life of the Past Lane, of course. Crimes Against Humanity. This one deals with past life stories on serial killers, Jack the Ripper, World War II atrocities, torture, dungeons, witches, and sexual assaults. Again, it's not to do with how gory it looks. It's to explain to people why they have that and how easy it can be cleared up. So, that's
fascinating.
Now I have a special on. If they mention that they heard it on your show, my books go in stores from $15 to $20 each. But these are Canadian or British stuff that I never really got them going in the States other than direct mailing. So what it is if they buy 1 book, it's $10. If they buy 2 books, it's $15. If they order 3 books, that's $20. And if you get all 4 of them, $25. And if you get all 4, there's another bonus. I have a CD called Relaxation Plus. Not just relaxation, but relaxation plus. You're right. Cookie there. It's a bit of,
I was waiting for you to finish. I'm saying it in my head.
Okay. I knew that. It's good for helping you learn to sleep better, relax better. Because sleeping is another thing I fix because either it's too much of what if that causes people to stay awake, which is silly because how many what ifs can you have to go through before you run out of combinations. And your subconscious has to drop. Okay, the conscious does hold what you did for the day, and you have to sleep every 24 hours to drop it down because you can't feel the conscious. You remember studying for exams and you start feeling like things are bouncing off, it's because you're full. But if you don't get a good night's sleep, it doesn't all drop down, and you wake up the next day sort of half groggy because you're still half full. You get a good night's sleep, be more refreshed, you can handle the what ifs. So this helps you learn how to relax better. Because a lot of people feel guilty about relaxing. They were told when they're kids, don't watch TV, you're supposed to do your homework. Don't play, you're supposed to go plow the back 40. Well, you grow up with that as an adult, you still get affected by it. So a lot of times people feel guilty about relaxing. That's one of them. Also, though, if you got killed
That is so interesting.
And if you got killed while you're sleeping, that's another reason why some people have a hard time sleeping. Because the subconscious don't sleep too well, you might get killed again. So there's lots of stuff. Leaky bladder, that's from Dungeons. I'm looking at my list. Birthmarks are not birthmarks; they're actually death marks.
Oh, I've heard that before, actually. Yeah.
They'll be where you got shot or stabbed or burnt to death. So that's where those come from. I don't work on them too much because usually they're not bothering people when they come in.
Yeah.
So
it's not a pain thing. It's a visual thing.
Yeah, and also something to work on. So that covers a lot of stuff. So the main thing is remember that my system will help you get rid of aches, pains, fears, and phobias, and debilitating emotions, all from just seeing it. Remember the unknown noise.
Yeah.
Think of the garbage can. If you see the garbage can, that noise won't bother you. But when you got the aches and pains have been there for
for however long they've been there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just really fascinating, and I love the way that you have broke it down for us, so it's more understandable, it's clear, and it makes so much sense this way. I've never heard it presented this way, which makes you definitely different and unique from the others, just like you said, in your own words, and I appreciate that very much. Thank you for spending so much time with us tonight.
My pleasure. And if they want to do my training, use the same email address and just ask me more about it, and I'll tell you about it.
Perfect. I'll make sure I get that out to everyone. Again, that email address is cl@pastliferap.com. And please send Debbie our best. Debbie was a past guest on our show. You guys probably remember her. She was so wonderful, Debbie A. Anderson. And what a great recommendation, recommending her husband. Right, Chris?
I pay her well. Kidding. No, we pass on our leads. And
it's so good. It's so good. It's a great
really nice chatting with you too, AJ.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Soul Wanderings can be found on all of the social media platforms, as well as soulwanderings.com. And of course, make sure you are all following KGRA Radio on YouTube. Like and subscribe, share with your friends and family. And as I always say, let's keep having these conversations that bring connection and awareness into our experiences. Thank you for being here with us tonight. Good night, Wanderers.